harass and do it fast and find a way to solve them. I want to ring my bell, wake up Randolph Burrows. Tell him among all past police commissioners, up to now is he I prefer. Ring my bell, wake up the Lord Bryna. Tell him the state of Calypso today is a good thing he passed away.
What is democracy? What is human rights? And to whom is it directed? Suspend the Constitution, lawlessness out of hand. And under this Constitution, there could be no prosecution. It looks like this Constitution is not for the law-abiding man. Only criminals and crooks to get them off of the hook. Good people must have no fun. They have to be on the run, ducking from bandits, bullets and guns. While they're making a mockery of democracy, violating the law with impunity. And some legal entity defends them with alacrity, while they're making a mockery of democracy. International should be disbanded immediately, or charge them all as accomplice for every crime in every country. Cause it look like their only mission is to see the guilty go free, while the victim rights go to waste. Nobody to plead their case. How long would we stand and see democracy going crazy? Oh, how unjust justice is made to be. They're just making a mockery of democracy, violating the law with impunity. And some legal entity defends them with alacrity, while they're making a mockery of democracy. Don't execute the criminals if they've been on death row too long. It's cruel, unusual punishment. Society shouldn't commit this wrong. You violating their human rights. You're sure to hear some lawyers say, but the victim rights are lost. Why they say justice take its course? Look like them criminal is boss. The guilty rights stay in store, protected under due course of the law. UNC, they're making a mockery of democracy, violating the law with impunity. And them legal entity defends them with alacrity, while they're making a mockery of democracy.
Yes, indeed, of course, a pleasant good night to all and sundry. I know that the video quality is not what is expected. I was told we worked feverishly today, yesterday, and the day before. But of course, what we found out is that it may well be the quality of the supply, our internet connection. And therefore, tomorrow, first working day of the week, we will be focusing on that to try to correct it. They give us an idea. So we must change our internet provider. That is what we will do. Because in studio here, I can tell you, the video is looking rich on the system that we have set up here. But when we look at it on the outside, it's awful, frankly. And therefore, that must come to an end. As we have brought to an end as well, the hacking issue. You can go on you're on YouTube, but you can go on Facebook right now. And of course, key in love or the Laventil Outreach for Vertical Enrichment. And we are on Facebook. Nothing must stop us. Nothing must stop us. And as one ambassador, one emissary told me some time ago from the Canadian High Commission, he said to me, when the going gets tough, the tough gets going. And so whole day today, we were attempting, of course, to rectify this problem in terms of not being on Facebook where we started, and I think we got that under control. And so, of course, but what you have to do, we have changed, of course, the tag that you will have to, or the Facebook that you will have to, or Facebook wall that you'll have to use. You'll now have to use, of course, the Laventil Outreach for Vertical Enrichment, and I'll tell you a little more about that in due course. But I'm looking, of course, for another issue that I want to bring to your attention tonight, because I see that the government has been, of course, in overdrive, attempting literally to pretend somehow that it is concerned and attempted to normalize what they have been doing sparsely, what they have been doing and recklessly in terms of providing young people with, of course, alternatives. You see, the $100 million was not sufficient, and therefore they have now engaged in another scheme, the provision, of course, of training facilities, which I'm going to, of course, address, because last night I don't think I did justice to the presentation that I made relative, or the discussion we entered into relative, of course, to training and young people. I think it cannot be overemphasized, nor can it be easily brushed over or easily dealt with. It's a very complex issue, and therefore it will be an injustice. It will be, of course, a tragedy if we try to trifle it, as the Prime Minister and the Minister of Youth is attempting to do by sprinkling some programs here, some programs there, and then, of course, getting a photo up and believing that somehow they have, of course, addressed the problem of young people, and, of course, the need for not just training, but other aspects of their lives as human beings. I'm trying to get I'm trying to get some information at the same time, so you would forgive my sort of double focus. But at the end of the day, I think it is crucial that we understand that this government clearly has lost its mandate, has lost its way, is unable to address the socio-economic and psycho-cultural problems of the society and segments of the society, such as that of our young people, that are fundamental if we have to give credence to the fact that the future of our country relies on them. And as one prime minister would have said, the future of the country lies in their school bag. But of course, this prime minister does not understand that the future of the country lies in the computers that those young people were dispossessed of and now attempted to make amends as if nothing happened, as if it was par for the course. But of course, par for the course here of Rowley and his government is that you could lie, you could try, of course, to generate a false reality sometime down the road. Do not bother to apologize and then act as though you never was engaged in acts that are contrary to what you are talking about now, or you ought to have been engaged in, but you did not engage for reasons that are still enigmatic to most of us. But the fact of the matter is that we have caught them lying, we have caught them naked, we have caught them in a huge percentage of incompetence, impotence, and most importantly, they have had their ugly, nasty, and putrid hands up in the cookie jar of the country. I'm talking about the treasury of the country, for their personal aggrandizement, believing somehow between elections that they have control total for their own evil, pernicious, and selfish agenda. The use of the country's resources as if it's their personal parlor. I say to them in no uncertain terms and with a high degree of confidence, blue lights and silver bracelets await all of you, the entire cabinet. If you did not have your hands directly up the cookie jar, you had it indirectly. And therefore you cannot escape culpability. Exculpation is not an option. But we need, of course, to look at some of the areas that they would like us to focus on, and to try to hoodwink young people into somehow believing that they have their interests at heart. And of course, on top of the existing plethora of projects, let me tell you, is YTEP, is my lot, is my tap, is hype. You understand what I'm talking about? And listen to, just in case you are in doubt that they could not be able to invent more. Only, as I said, to try to hoodwink and to deceive both parents, both stakeholders, as well as the young people. I want you, of course, to listen to this. Maybe you will understand why it is we have to be so vigilant and so, at the same time, skeptical, and understand how far-fetched and how ungrounded for want of a better term, ungrounded, if not aloof. How unrealistic this government is in terms of their attempt to address the problems of the country, but instead they either fail and at the same time make it worse.
Government's latest youth program, the Industrial Mechanical Apprenticeship Program, is a 15-month hands-on apprenticeship program offering training in skills geared toward the energy sector. It falls under Youth Development and National Service.
The Industrial Apprenticeship Program offers education and training to young persons and focuses more on relevant practical skills for the workforce and being able to perform tasks related to working in a particular industry, thus offering a viable solution to the employment gap for which the IAP is geared.
Minister Cummings said participants will be provided with technical vocational training as well as 9-month internships in private and public companies. He outlined plans to launch several other programs in the coming months.
A program called Hoist, which involves crane operations, mobile and tower cranes. Drop, which is a drilling rig operations program, will be run by NASC.
The minister said there will also be horticultural and landscaping as well as healthcare programs.
Fuse, a program of introductory linesmen and line clearing. We are doing that program in conjunction with TNTech. A plumbing and pipeline program that will be done in conjunction with the prior learning assessment, which is a program that will take in experienced, skilled persons who are not certified, assess them, and take them towards certification.
The IMAP program is headquartered at the hub, located at Heritage Petroleum Company Limited's Santa Flora compound. Terry-Ann Brown-Campbell, TTT News. Government's latest youth program, the Industrial Mechanical Apprenticeship Program, is a 15-month hands-on apprenticeship program offering training in skills geared toward the energy sector. It falls under the purview of the Ministry of Youth Development and National Service.
The Industrial Apprenticeship Program offers education and training to young persons and focuses more on relevant practical skills for the workforce and being able to perform tasks related
to let me just get this.
Thus offering a viable solution to the...
Yes, okay, good.
Good night.
Good night to you. Good night to you.
See you on that page, Britt. Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah, see you on that page breakdown. When you're gonna be back up and running, I see you on your other page.
Yeah. We know yet because we contacted, and we are waiting on their decision because it has been hacked. So therefore, we have gone on Love, LOVE, people, Love, if you are right now. Lavatel Outreach for Vertical Enrichment. I'll explain it later.
Yeah, I see it.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I see you on your backup page. All right, no problem, enough, so I'll follow your backup page. All right, thank you, sir.
Okay, good. Right, great.
Okay, right.
All right, then. Yes, indeed. So people, as I said earlier, when the going gets tough, the tough gets going, and you can't keep a good man down, you could do what you want. And therefore, as they hack one page, we go to the backup page. So go there now, Love, LOVE, Lavatel Outreach for Vertical Enrichment. And of course, we are pursuing and trying to identify why, when, and how that was done in terms of the hacking and the most despicable pictures that, of course, they would have put up on that particular corridor transformation. But we have a fair idea as to who would have done that, in whose interest that would have been. But, of course, we continue, of course, to plug away because we must find ways and means of getting the information out there. No one must be able to believe that somehow they can stymie, they can circumscribe, or they can emasculate what we are doing here in East Port of Spain. Let us hear the minister again as he tries, of course, bring new appellations in old wine bottle. I'll explain that afterwards. New appellations, new projects, in other words, with catchy names in old bottle. I'll give you an idea in a while.
Government's latest youth program, the Industrial Mechanical Apprenticeship Program, is a 15-month hands-on apprenticeship program offering training in skills geared toward the energy sector. It under the purview of the Ministry of Youth Development and National Service.
The Industrial Apprenticeship Program offers education and training to young persons, thus offering a viable solution to the employment gap for which the IAP is geared.
Minister Cummings said participants will be provided with technical vocational training as well as 9-month internships in private and public companies. He outlined plans to launch several other programs in the coming months.
A program called Hoist, which involves crane operations, mobile and tower cranes. Drop, which is a drilling rig operations program, will be run by NASC.
The minister said there will also be horticultural and landscaping as well as healthcare programs.
Fuse, a program of introductory linesmen and line clearing. We are doing that program in conjunction with Tech. A plumbing and pipeline program that will be done in conjunction with WASA. PLAIR, the prior learning assessment, which is a program that will take in experienced skilled persons who are not certified, assess them, and take them towards certification.
The IMAP program is headquartered at the hub located at Heritage Petroleum Company Limited's Santa Flora.
For safety
We should be,
and
of course,
security
examining
for families
these
in Trinidad and Tobago.
initiatives.
The opposition leader claims
With
since Dr. Rowley
a
took office,
multiple
there have been upwards of
perspective.
500 murders. But instead of
Multiple
addressing the country an
perspective.
important such as this,
Because I want
the Prime
to
Minister is
also
running from his responsibility.
quickly introduce
I do not want to answer the questions as to why you have failed to deal with
the-
crime.
just
Mrs.
before that
Prasad adds that
announcement.
the PNM government has not delivered on any
The
aspect of their
government's
10-point
other
crime plan put
initiative.
forward in their manifesto. The opposition leader says so pervasive is the PNM's disregard for life.
Other initiative. You see, there was $100 million announcement made. And when Hines and these fellas went into the community touting that $100 million initiative by VAPS, $100 million by VAPS, Rowley in a PNM meeting, and recognizing that nobody was listening to him as far as crime and criminality and young people are concerned, and the fact that he spent millions of dollars to invite Karika to treat with saying that he go find $100 million to engage in crime and criminality and to, of course, emasculate or to reduce crime on that basis. You see, he couldn't find $1 million. He found $100 million for finance. To find $100 million, understand what I'm saying here, because it is crucial to show how these fellas have lost their marbles. And they are no damn good. $100 million. And they say, of course, the PNM, evil house, gangster house, monstrosity is also about $100 million. But we will leave that for another time. The point I am making is he couldn't find $1 million for the families of who? Yes, of the demised divers. You hear what I say? I said that he could not find $1 million even when they visited him and expecting empathy and sympathy, and if not empathy, sympathy. and altruism that is required of a leader in the position that Rowley is in, having at the disposal of the nation. Unfortunately, these vipers, these indolents, these evil, corrupt individuals are responsible for managing, or should I say, mismanagerize the operations at Petrotrin under the PNM installed board headed by Malcolm Jones. Understand that. Well, you hear what I say? I say as a VAPS, nothing organized, nothing ideated upon, nothing concentrated or thought applied to. Rowley in a PNM meeting simply told and instructed the Minister of Finance to find who had been killing because he had no other solution. He was out of breath. He was out of thought. He was out of ideas. He was simply exhausted and said that he wanted the Minister of Finance to find $100 million to address the young people who, of course, are all over the country, as we mentioned last night, marauding all over, when, of course, we saw last night what the solutions are. But the first stage of those solutions to be engaged and on a sustained basis is that the removal of Rowley. The rest will naturally follow. So he acts at a whim. At a whim, people. Almost like a guess. He pulled that out of his head and instructed right then and there the Minister of Finance to find $100 million to go into those communities. And of course, with the assistance of the army, clearly, poor army, they don't have the infrastructure to deal with that. That serves his political aggrandizement and false appeasement. That we try to do. Appease the population, but the murders continues. The murders continue. So you ought not to be impressed, but what concern about is that he was able to instruct there on a whim, not in an office, not in thinking it through, but on a whim, totally making unadulteratedly and pollucedly that he lied when he said that the Prime Minister's office cannot impact on doses. Financial, I'm talking about. He lied again at this time on himself, as he would on occasion do, but this time so glaring, was so pellucid that one wonders in hell for a man like that. The man is simply indurate, ugly, nasty, wicked, inhumane, dangerous, and is the existential threat to Trinidad and Tobago today. Yes, indeed. Let us not waste time. Just so, without thinking, $100 million you instruct your Minister of Finance to find. Because you went by the murders and you wouldn't say, let you call elections, that you have exhausted your ability to manage. And at the same time, attract the anathema, the hatred, the anger of a huge section of the community, if not the entire section of the community, because you said that you cannot, as Prime Minister, intervene and to make heritage or the gasoline or fuel importing company that gave, of course, those divers the job, and on whose compound they died, they perished in those pipelines, in the most gruesome situation, most heinous, most egregious. And then you have the audacity to come in the public because you cannot solve crime. And all the hogwash you spoke in the past turned to zero, as of course Sandals did, and as of course your efforts to tell us that somehow Heritage make money, and now we know that it's the least amount of oil that any company over the years has been producing is under you, and of course your fragmentation and therefore questionable discontinuance of Petrotrin. And questionable here is not just a novel or a loose statement. It is questionable from the perspective that the entire cabinet conspired to, of course, give you, Rowley, a reprieve, an escape from investigation in the fake oil matter, to influence by putting your personal lawyer to deal with all of the legacy issues, including, of course, matters. It is a fair comment to say that you put your lawyer there to cleanse, to sanitize, and to give information that further jeopardize the public purse and the public's interests. I accept, as I told Ramesh Lawrence Mirage when I met with him on that matter, he being, of course, the lawyer for AV Drilling, and I told him in no uncertain terms, I am satisfied that oil was in fact delivered to the Petrotrin oil refinery. But clearly, the amount that they are claiming is not what was delivered. And therefore, whilst they must be paid AV Drilling for what they delivered, there must be some kind of censure, some kind of sanction, some kind of action to be taken as to the attempt to try to defraud. It is about justice. And justice also demands that there is and should be an investigation as to the fake oil. And when, of course, Gary Griffith told us as Commissioner of Police that he was still pursuing, and it was a hot case and not a cold case, I was satisfied. Until, of course, Rowley and they eliminated by their usual shenanigans an attempt, of course, to cover up, to protect the corrupt conduct or the corruption conduct of this government, including Rowley in this case. It is a clear case of the perversion of the course of criminal justice executed by the Prime Minister. And he has the temerity and the boldfacedness to meet those families of those dead divers, forgetting, oblivious, because it was to satisfy a particular occasion. He called whimsically, capriciously, and say he's demanding $100 million be found to treat, when of course it was two and in close proximity to each other. And yet still, for things that he had ample opportunity to think about and to understand that he has a humanistic obligation to a certain number of our citizens who were trapped and whose breadwinners disappeared by pariahs' engagement of them. And it has nothing to do with culpability, even though, of course, the report of the Commission of Inquiry said that there should be what? Industrial manslaughter. Industrial manslaughter, company manslaughter. That's what they said. That is a serious matter. But it does not take away the humanitarian and the human nature and the need of the Prime Minister at the highest level to do what he did capriciously, without, of course, thinking automatically, only because he felt that that was politically prudent for him, the political opportunist and minge. Those of you who prefer Facebook, you can get us now on at Love. Just type in the Love Until Outreach for Vertical Enrichment, and you'll get us on Facebook. Corridor Transformation, you'll get this live now. I had to do all kinds of things to make it happen because we will not relent. The information must be gotten out. And therefore, I say to you, just do that. Love Until Outreach for Vertical Enrichment. You see it flashing across the screen. And of course, the lines, the telephone is working. 337-6940 is the number to call. I know that, of course, the issues are very serious. I know. And secondly, of course, we may have a delay and some video issues. I promise you that by the end of this week, that will be rectified. It has to be rectified. We cannot be delivering such quality product. And then, of course, it is, should I say, sullied by, of course, a lack of quality video. We will, of course, over time conquer. But in the meantime, I want to tell you that Rowley is a wicked, evil criminal. To find 100 million one way and cannot find a cent for the families of the deceased divers. Pleasant good night, welcome. A pleasant good night, welcome.
A pleasant good night to you, Lennox.
Pleasant good night.
Pleasant good night to you. In the chat, Lennox, what they tried to do, your boy.
That's all right. Who God's bless, no man curse.
Right, Lennox, but you just I want to get back to that.
Someone else on the line, shall we wait? Go ahead, Miss Santa Cruz. Go ahead, Miss Santa Cruz. I have someone on another line, but go ahead.
So that you go for your page.
Yes. But that's, yes.
To check.
You get a problem, boy. You're getting problems. We're not hearing no good.
Yeah, you have to try to fix it because they're mashing up.
I just we somebody else is on. Miss Santa Cruz is on. So. Yeah, go ahead now. Go ahead. Let me see if I can get you. Go ahead. Yes, Miss Santa Cruz, go ahead.
What I was saying, I just tried to get back on. I just tried to get back on the page and I'm not getting back on. It is still there.
Yeah, it is still there.
I don't know why. I have to go back through the notifications to get back on.
Right, okay. But
they really try to destroy your page now because they don't like the messages.
Yeah, I realize that. But we will deal with it. We'll deal with it. But go on love. Go on love. Yeah. Go on love and you will get it. Go on love right now and you'll get it as well.
Okay.
All right.
All right. Lennox.
Yeah, go ahead.
Today is really a Fool's Day.
Yeah.
Today, my mom would have celebrated 105th birthday.
Right.
Over to say, never mind, she was born on April Fool. She was a fool.
Right.
And we love this country, fools. Because he comes to say that he saved this country. What did he save us from? I tell you, man, have nothing. This is just.
The man is a lunatic. The man is mad. He has gone mad. So don't bother with he.
He's a lunatic. He's a rotten duck lunatic. What did he say? I wanted to know. He and Hop Singh. This job saying, we beat Kevin Ramnarai, not you. You are lying in this country. You are destroy the energy sector. You are destroy this whole country. And you have your supporters talking where you have, like, who stood up at the meeting. I bet just so we see the ministry. So
boy,
Lennox, so many things has been happening.
Yeah. But we'll get a chance to talk tomorrow. The GOG report is back. Yeah, we get a chance to talk tomorrow. But I think we better. During the course of the week, I will deal with the internet. The internet is giving problems still.
Yeah, but Lennox, what I'd like to say before I go, you see how it has been revealed now, none other than Mocha Ramdial, that Rodney Charles, Anita Haynes, and Rai Bill supports Russian Parry and the crap that he's doing.
All right.
But when we get back on street properly, Lennox, we'll talk more about that. You take care and have a good night. Nice to have you back on.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you very, very much. Yes, indeed. Okay, sorry about that, point 14, but of course, we have to take our turns. A pleasant good night to you. Welcome. Hello? Point 14, welcome. Yes, go ahead.
Me, Maureen, I should have been my TV watching you.
Good.
To do my favor.
Yeah, go ahead.
When you get a chance, right?
Yeah.
I want Baba to come on your program and let she give you the history and the battles before they get the holiday and after they get the holiday, because I feel it have a lot of things is hidden from this generation right now with this Baptist religion is concerned. So if you could get that woman to come and sit down and give the history on any curriculum with the Baptist is concerned, I too will be able to take that live and share to some of my friends and them who supporting the PNM but who is Baptist.
All right,
because apparently they're in the dark.
Yeah.
I want them to come in the light.
Great.
Right?
I certainly will.
Dr. Listening.
Yes, I certainly will. Thank you very much, of course. Well, we continue, of course, to treat with the Shout Baptist reality. And as he rightly said, we need to, especially in these times where people are usurping and they are vicious at it. I suppose because of $20 million is for the taking offered by Rowley, but not a cent. Not a damn cent for the families of the divers. He said too complicated. Too complicated. But by VAPs, $100 million just so in a PNM meeting. You understand how significant that is? And how unacceptable that must be? But listen to him.
Let me tell you what we're dealing with.
Government approach wasn't accepted. They went and had their own crime talks. Generate point 1, state of emergency. Ladies and gentlemen, state of emergency. You know, those are the same people who facing a similar situation in 2011 when there was an upward surge of criminal conduct, and I think in one weekend 11 persons died. You know how they dealt with that? And a full state of emergency was implemented. The action that followed that was that they organized themselves, they used the security services, including the police, and they went out and they grabbed up, like when you're fishing and you throw a net, and they grabbed up over 8,000 people. Over 7,000 of them were charged for all kinds of things. Under the nose. Who want the nose under a G-string?
I'm sure that children are not around. But that pervert, that rapist, that pedophile, purporting to be a prime minister, that criminal, that nefarious nincompoop, idiot, and half-picked duck of a man. Half-picked duck of a man. Listen to him. Serious business. He talking G-string talk. That is what we have. Understand? No good whatsoever. How the hell the PNM get here there, I don't know. That is why the PNM must be relegated to the dustbin of political history in this country. For the travesty, for the decadence, and for the evil that they have perpetrated on the people of Trinidad and Tobago. Listen to him again.
And they went out and they grabbed up, like when you're fishing and you throw a net, and they grabbed up over 8,000 people. Over 7,000 of them were charged for all kinds of things. Under the nose. Who want the nose under a G-string?
Just imagine that. How that come in? That pervert, that criminal, that rapist, that pedophile. Can say what he wants. He must face the criminal justice system in this country. Who want the nose under a G-string? But I suppose only those who have been there. And with that kind of nose he had there, he making elephant look as though their nose small. Yeah, I say Rowley nose is one that could fit under several G-strings. G-strings is joke. You're supposed to call it rope strings. That's how nasty he is. And drinking water, he should be asphyxiated as a consequence.
To South Africa alongside the opposition leader, the Prime Minister, to Nelson Mandela's funeral. We flew to Pretoria on the same plane, and we were going to view the body. We were in the same car, going to view the body. It was a very interesting experience for me because for a couple hours, I was, for official purposes, the husband of the Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago.
So we understand why you come up with G-string. You love to smell below G-strings. So you get the opportunity to smell. You get the opportunity to smell, Rowley. Hey, Rowley? Was she had on a G-string? Or was it you?
I was that. You see, all the people who came from all the countries were in one room. We all were in the same room. I was there as opposition leader. But the kings and queens and presidents and so on were in that same room. And as we were moving out into coaches to go to see the body, the first people who were called were kings. And they came in and they made the announcement, all kings, this is your coach. And then after, the next were presidents. And my prime minister turned to me and said, listen, you have to come with me, otherwise you mightn't get on a coach for a long time. So when they call prime minister, you will accompany me onto the prime minister's coach. So I complied. And I escorted the lady onto the coach, and I sat as husband of the prime minister. And
you notice an innocuous invitation. He ascribed that ugly son of a bitch. He ascribed himself as husband, you know. You listen to him? He said she invited him as opposition because she wanted him coming from the same place. Only that reason, coming from the same place and knowing that he is opposition leader, and trying to get him, of course, ahead of the line of those who would normally be opposition leader. Look how disingenuous, how ungrateful, how discourteous, attempting, of course, as he did with the Shouter Baptist in 2022, make us a mockery by talking about somebody slap him. But it's Manning who slap his tail. Manning slap him. Understand that. And now giving, of course, persons who arrogate unto themselves a position that they ought not to be given, insofar as the government and the resources of the country is concerned. $20 million falsely acquired. And Rowley and they ask a question as to where is Archbishop Barbara Gray Burke, Episcopus Doctor. That is how, yes, deviousness and evil and malicious intent is part and parcel of the, what I consider to be the adjectives. But stupidity is the cover letter for that kind of conduct. Because let me tell you something, as constant as the Northern Star and as night will give way to day, and vice versa, the government will change. And these evil, unfair, corrupt, malicious, devious, biased, insincere, self-serving, politically wretched, and unjust conduct must be rectified and reconciled. Evil could never prevail over good. How dare Rowley give the Baptist community without, and as we know, you should know now, that while all Baptists may be spiritual, all Baptists may be spiritual, but now not all Baptists are Shouter Baptists, and those are the ones that were identified and were plugged out and identified for attention, reward, and compensation. How dare Rowley and they try to revise the reality, and we must not allow them so to do. You will understand why I have been so fervent and so insistent. Today we had 4 tests to make sure that we are able to get on Facebook. 4 tests to make sure. Not going to relent. Not for vipers like they, because we know what we are doing is right and righteous and fair and will be rewarded at the appropriate place at the appropriate time. A pleasant good night. Welcome.
Good night. This is the Silver Fox.
Hey, good night, my friend.
Now, I find that statement made by Rowley about Camilla is so childish. It sounds so untasteful. And I'll tell you this, Rowley needs help, you know, and I think his cabinet members is not helping him properly because Rowley needs help. And the senior man going down the drain needing help. Rowley's a sick man.
Obvious.
Sick. When you're talking to me, rocking like a boat from one side of the boat to the next side, that fellow need help. God even want to help him and Satan turn it back. So me know who help him might be you, Lennox. Good night.
Yeah, I could help him. reach the ultimate, which is to get the hell out, dustbin for him, and in the jail. I will help him to do that. I'll do it with pleasure. Yes, indeed, I'll do it with pleasure. And of course, that time is yet to come. Remember, we have, of course, a pre-action protocol letter in limbo. Don't forget that. Don't forget that. I need to remind you, don't forget that. You never could tell what could emerge. Like a thief in the night, as Rowley is. You never could tell. Whimsical, dotish, ablum, in your face, and talking a pile and a mile of hogwash and putrid. Yeah, putrid. The man, byloric nature, fussy bitter. For what? I understand it's because of the way how he was born. He came into the world. The same way Gat Allen came into the world. Gat Allen, a victim of rape. As a consequence of rape. Blasted rapist and pedophile are talking that kind of hogwash about G-string when we have serious issues where our young people killing each other, or young people turning guns on the innocent, or when businessmen are mortally afraid to go into the business or to stay there, or to, of course, not have ample security. And even in such circumstance, they don't want to keep money on their compound, and they have to invest, of course, in other security measures, not only for themselves, but for their children and their family, etc. And then this ass of a man, bald-headed, the first time I know a man bald-headed and believe that it is, trying to project to us that it is artificial. He will not wear it gracefully as Wade Mark or Tim Gopi Singh, because he doesn't like what he sees, and always, of course, it's some kind of phantom, some kind of illusion that somehow he has pulchritudinous qualities. You know what I say? I say somehow he believes he has pulchritudinous qualities. I'm talking about beauty here. That can only be realized by him. He should be, of course, the actor in Beauty and the Beast. But the Beast, that's what he should be. Ugly son of a bitch. I want to talk about what? G-string and smelling with our nose. You can afford to play nose to nose with an elephant or some kind of ant-eater. That is what he is. And we must decry him and degrade him and depreciate him. He must not believe that somehow Prime Minister means that you could say, do, act, and get away with it. And let him wallow in his own misery, as he will now have to be isolated, insulated, and gotten rid of, preferably in an asylum. An asylum for the criminally insane. Criminally insane. Because that is what he is. Hear him talk.
I got to see Nelson Mandela's body long before I would have if I had waited for the call of opposition leader. I have now come to the conclusion that we need special intervention in some of those communities that are nurseries for criminal conduct.
Next position. Tonight,
listen. In those communities that you will see named in the very near future, I will instruct the Minister of Finance to identify immediately $100 million.
Just imagine that. Where is the simple for the families of the divers that have been traumatized and plunged into further poverty, despair, and hopelessness? Where is the $1 million? You're talking about $100 million, Rowley, whimsically, capriciously, only because you're trying to hoodwink the audience there. Not we out here, and not even them, because even for that, they hardly clap. You have exhausted the tolerance of the people of Trinidad and Tobago, Rowley. Go where you went, stay there and wait for when we send the police for you to come back here to answer criminal charges for your evil multiple conduct and the abuse of the people's resources and the people over the last would have been 10 years by 2025. Let us not waste time. Hear him again, people. I know you don't believe your ears. He fined $100 million whimsically at a PNM function. Not in the office, not that he sit down on his bed and he thought about it. He can't deal with crime, so he come up with these phantasmagorical, blow your mind actions and utterances that always end up being waste of time, end up being failures, as we have seen. But he continues because he simply wants to last until 2025, believing that somehow he could get back into office to protect the corruption and the nepotism and the larceny and misuse and abuse and mismanagement and misappropriation of both resources, material, financial, and otherwise, of the people who repose their trust in him. And though both occasions they were in not jingoism, but he could engage in stretching the envelope because he's a criminal and an evil sociopath. So he could stretch the envelope. He could engage in carrying the country to the brink, and somehow, by some liquid jumbie mystery, he could bring it back. And all we are seeing is that we are heading to hell in a gasoline-soaked paper bag. That's what we are seeing. That's what he has produced. It is called brinksmanship. Brinksmanship taken to the edge. And this kind of risk-taking, that kind of game that Rowley is playing and has been playing, must catch up with him because evil cannot prevail over good. Let's say him again.
And said, listen, you have to come with me, otherwise you mightn't get on a coach for a long time. So when they call Prime Minister, you will accompany me onto the Prime Minister's coach. So I complied. And I escorted the lady onto the coach, and I sat as husband of the Prime Minister.
This ugly son of a bitch, husband,
and I got
connected
to Nelson.
You lucky you have a doctorate. You lucky you have a doctorate. Why Sharon Rowley even considered you? We know when you visited UE, when she was there, and she saw how impressive you were, so she wasn't impressed with your looks, Rowley. You have been deprived of pulchritudinous qualities. Pulchritudinous qualities, Rowley. I remember, of course, a certain joke. You, Heinz, and Imbert, question. What are you watching at me for on Rowley Day? What are you watching at me for on Rowley Day? Of course, if they had asked the question, the man with the longest mouth, what he wears, well then, of course, he couldn't reference Rowley. He, Heinz. Yes. Some cook. You see, we have a duty and responsibility to fight fire with fire and to let Rowley and they know there is nothing sacrosanct about them and that they are uglier than sin and that they have breached the trust that was reposed in them and that the people must see them for what they are, ugly, nasty, wicked, dangerous, and of course the existential threat against the people and therefore have weaponized government against the people. We have seen that recently, of course, with the attempt to implement the property tax. So we need to let them have it. We are people who could peak on too bad. Who we could pick on too bad. But this is what he had to say.
That we need special intervention in some of those communities that are nurseries for criminal conduct.
Big talk.
I want to tell them tonight, in those communities that you will see named in the very near future, I will instruct the Minister of Finance to identify immediately $100 million to go inside those communities and do what is not being done, because criminals in there have taken control of those streets and those houses and are making it difficult for government services to go in there and give some people an opportunity for a decent life.
He's so stupid. This man is such an asinine specimen of inhumanity that has been so since 2015. Rowley, that has been so since 2015. You now get an epiphany. You now get a eureka moment, a burst of brilliance. But what I think is very dishonest, despicable, wicked, nasty, biased, unholy, and unsavory is that you told the families of the divers who perished in the way that they did, most macabre, that you can't help them. And that is exactly what they wanted. Whether you do it on a whim, you do it capriciously, or you did it deliberately by thought, and to show that you have no intention of directing your minds like you did because your political stocks, your fly in the ointment, your spanner in the cog of your political prospects are so inimical to your political survivability that you don't mind emptying the treasury because it is about you and not about the people who have elected you to serve them. You're wicked and nasty. Where is the $1 million for the families of the divers, Rowley? Where is it? No, you can't, eh? You can't.
The money that we'll make available, as I'm describing here, will be made available to the Defense Force leadership to retain and to hire reserve officers or retired officers and recruits to go into those communities and ensure that what has to be built is built, where security has to be on the street is there, and where people can rely on them and not on the local dons that they're somehow bigger than the government and the people of Trinidad and Tobago.
Hush your ass. Hush your ass. You're talking shit.
Built the auditorium in Balmain. You have built the car park in Balmain.
Hear him again.
I think you are designing the cathedral. So
Nothing for the diverse family. Listen again.
Good progress farther along. And of course, you did ask for help with respect.
Misrepresentation. He like people misrepresenting themselves. Where is Barbara Burke? Listen to him.
And it seems as though you were destined always not to come together and to have an institutional structure. The cabinet said we'll give you assistance of 10 million and some land in Balmain and see what you will do with it. I intend to ask the cabinet at the next session, having got confirmation that you've made full use of the first half to get you the second half. And if there's anything you can teach the people of Trinidad and Tobago, you can teach the people of Trinidad and Tobago how to raise their children with moral and spiritual values.
Let me just take off this man here before I get further vex. Let me just take off this caller. Hold on. Just a minute. Okay, good. President, good night. Welcome.
Yes,
good night.
Yes,
welcome.
Good night to Mr. Lennox Smith.
Good night to you.
Yes, hello. I'm listening to you there about, the families for the divers. He can just take up money so and give them for this accident, this tragedy that take place, I tell you, all the companies, these oil producing companies and belong to Trinidad alone, right? You have to confirm with them. I saw these people crying on television when they get so disappointed when Rowley tell them that the board at Parry are not responsible or something like that, right? But all in all, they get turned down with it. When he closed down the oil refinery, you're talking about something with what they call it? Help me now. This fake oil issue, that is just a coincidence. I know he's friends and them from the Brotherhood, right? There's open oil refinery, oil producing companies in different countries to rob the foreign exchange of the country. I know that, but all they know that yet. I just do my research. That is the goal, to rob the country, to do the bunkering and all of that. And when I talk certain things about the friends and them in the Brotherhood, the brothers and them, right? When I talk certain things, people will be saying why saying is irrelevant. This is why we reach here. Before people back up and want to find out, have cottage meeting, right? To discuss certain things, how to attack this regime and to out him down, right? People want to hear, don't studying to make bacchanal. This is why we end up in this. And in time to come, people will realize, what Mr. Rima was showing us makes sense. It has some them realize it already, but you see it too late now. Plenty people crying these things, right? But I warning only trying to get in trouble with this criminal man, right? What we have to do is we were supposed to get this man out before. The longer he stay there, is more trouble for us. Right? Rowley should have been bad the last time he went out there from coming in this country. He could be bad or no, I find, from entering this country. Like whatever man, when he tell you stand up, fly, don't even run, try and show you could fly. He have nothing to give them people in Laventille. That's such a old talk. Don't believe anything he say. Right? Rowley staying there until he dead. Right? We supposed to see to get one of these criminals from the Brotherhood out. If we throw down one, which is a very important one, we throw down one, it will be very good for the whole region. All of them dangerous to this region right now. The whole region in crisis. Do all their homework and try and understand what's going on. Have a good night, Leonard.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Of course, we have another caller on the line as well. President, good night. Welcome. Caller, you're on.
Good night.
Good
night, Mr. Smith.
Good night to you, sir.
Yes, I'm on. You hear me?
Yes, loud and clear. Loud and clear.
Yes.
Yes.
You know, I listen to all these. I listen to all these figures, 100 million and 10 million, and just this man just flushing money for people. That's his personal money he's talking about, or that's the taxpayers' money.
I'm showing you that. I just said that they arrogate, he bold-facedly take that as if he could. His personal parlor. Nobody know where he come from. Nobody knows his qualification to manage anything. But suddenly, because he's on the PNM chariot, he could, of course, go and unlock and unleash the treasury in the way that he has been doing for his personal aggrandizement and political.
Yes.
Yeah. And
the central bank belongs to him.
Showing you that. That's a madness. The man is a total lunatic.
Anyways, you have a good night.
Yes, thank you very much, of course. Yes, indeed. You can't find $1 million for them. And I am not accepting any talk about he can't find money for $1 million for those people. No, I can't. I will not accept that. The man is naturally evil. That they would have gotten some kind of financial compensation already. Because it's a Baptist community devoid of Archbishop Barbara Gray Burke, and of course insensitive to the Shouter Baptist community, who were the ones that were banned, and their ancestors were of course beaten and flagellated. And you're watching opportunists in different forms and in different colors of the cloth, ecclesiastically speaking, of course, and talking about tendon. You know what that reminds me of? It has a clear relationship between the zipline issue in Tobago, when the money was expended, or part of it, and it was not expended for the purpose for which it was allocated. Chicky Tracy and Rowley went up there, and instead of scolding and said he will launch an investigation, or he will find out, or subject, of course, to the consequence of an investigation, even if we recognize that the zipline project was an important one and that therefore would have been useful to Tobago for its advancement of its tourism thrust. Instead of saying the logical, practical, moral, and transparency utterance, instead of saying that, instead of engaging that, he told her that no matter what they say, I as Prime Minister will of course make certain that the zipline project is of course constructed. The zipline project will be a reality. And why? Because he believes he cannot distinguish, he cannot isolate the fact that as Prime Minister he has a responsibility to be transparent and account to the people in a democracy, and there are checks and balances that are in place to ensure that. And the fact that he is there on the behest and the voting of the population in an electoral process. He has forgotten all of that. He believes that he's some kind of king, but he's king backside. That's what he is. King backside, people. You cannot tell me you're that stupid. And that is why he will make unlimited jail for that kind of arrogance and that kind of arrogating unto himself. Some kind of dictator, some kind of Maduro, some kind of Putin. That's what he feels he is in a democracy. And you're telling me to be careful? Yes, of course I'll be careful. But I prefer to be reckless, brutal, and of course unscathing, and very excoriating. And if it means being obscene against a prime minister that clearly doesn't even worth our children to him, so he has no use. He cannot give any moral and ethical advice. So he's a scum. He's a scum of the society. That's what he is. And therefore I will not relent. I know that they're capable because they are gangsters, the entire cabinet. But I hear better cock than them crow and end up by Kentucky. You know what I say? I hear better cock than them crow and end up by Kentucky. Their ways and means. Their ways and means. And because I have the least to lose, I could be more forthright. But they have so much to lose that they dare not enter where angels fear. You know what I say? I say that Rowley and they and their gangsters will not enter where angels fear because they are blasted cowards and they believe somehow that the capturing of and the not emasculating but and not even pilfering but the largest appropriate word, the hemorrhaging, the illegal hemorrhaging of our treasury. When, of course, the blue lights and silver bracelets come, there is sufficient evidence to have them within the penitentiary system, or put another way, within the prison system of Trinidad and Tobago. This is too much. It's too blatant. It's too obvious, too conspicuous, and too unbecoming of this group of evil depositors. Let's say him again, flitting away our money. Just so.
You have built the auditorium in Balmain. You have built the car park in Balmain. And I think you are designing the cathedral. Good use and good progress farther along. And of course,
political statement. And these individuals who call themselves Baptists are willing to be manipulated as our forefathers did when they were on the sugarcane plantation. Rowley is merely a neo-colonial master. That is what they have done. Them want a $20 million he willing to give, and he want to stay in office. Want to stay in office without the critical linchpin in all of this. Archbishop Barbara Gray Burke, still alive. Can't argue that. And when the time comes and the Shouter Baptists take action, assure Hilikoto Jombi, unleashed as it was, would be tamed when he's walking handcuffed for psychiatric evaluation as a sociopath. sociopath of a criminalistic nature.
You did ask for help with respect to a memorial ground. But because you were more disparate, you were destined always not to come together and to have an institutional structure. The cabinet said, we'll give you assistance of 10 million and some land in Balmain and see what you will do with it. I intend to ask the cabinet at the next session, having got confirmation that you've made full use of the first half, to get you the second half.
He asks where Burke. Burke made it clear that you will not be part and parcel of that falsity. That misrepresentation. And here Rowley, desperate to remain where he is after 2025, clearly because he wished 2025 will never come. He wished he could invent another COVID. He wished a disaster could come so he could be a disaster prime minister as he was a COVID prime minister. But it's a clear case of manic depressive psychosis that he displayed there when he said that they made use of the first 10 and he will go to the cabinet to have them get the second 10. Manic depressive psychosis, the man has no sense of reality, in other words. Manic depressive psychosis. That is what he suffered from there. How dare him? Archbishop Burke is not there. How could you build a cathedral for the Baptists when she's not there? How dare you have no discussions with her as the one still alive and understood the ethos, the purpose, the rationale, the concept, the reasoning for that holiday? It's so damn disrespectful at that level of blatant abuse of the treasury without accountability and in dispersing our scarce resource under questionable circumstance, in circumstances where you ought to have taken due diligence. Not for the first time. We have a duty and responsibility to say to you, you're failed, you're betrayed, and your perfidious conduct must be examined by the criminal justice system and the civil justice system in this country. People, once again, you want to see us now, go and love on Facebook. We are not going to be deterred. We are not going to succumb. We are not going to grovel. We are going to be as unrelenting and fervent and poignant. And if it is distressful to those who are doing evil, then we are on the right track. Yes, Rowley, take that, you blasted rapist and pedophile in our faces and talking as if you're some kind of prime minister. Shame on those who still either follow him or go to their meetings to take pieces of silver. I wonder how they feel to know that every night somebody is calling their prime minister a man who they say is their leader, a rapist and a pedophile, and there's nothing he nor them could do about it. Nothing. Because the truth will set you free. And he avoids and evades the truth. Whilst, of course, pretending that he sleeps well. No, he can't sleep well. 2025 must come. Kamala Prasad Bisesa, you are a boss. You are the epitome of resilience, tenacity, commitment, and dedication to your people. And that must be admired and accepted as a fact in Trinidad and Tobago today. And listen to what she said, with respect, of course, to crime and criminality and the inability of this viper to address the problem. Let's go to the lines before we go to the... Before that clip, let's go to the lines. A pleasant good night. Pleasant good night. Pleasant good night.
Hello, Lennox.
Pleasant good night.
Yes, Lennox. I'm calling again.
Yes.
Well, you're mad because of this problem you go through with this hacking. You have to change the name and everything now.
Yes, yes.
Well,
I know what to do.
This is no surprise to me.
Yes, I too. So we were prepared.
I didn't hear what you said.
I said, I too. You're right. It's not surprising to me as well.
Let me prepare you better now. Let me show you something. This country is a member of the Brotherhood, right? The Brotherhood is not just this regime. This country is a member of the Brotherhood with them rest of countries were undemocratic in the region, right? And they're locking up journalists right now. The head of the frontier will get into deep waters because our elections, as you know, is next year. And they're going to damage that UNC. I warned the UNC years ago about this situation that you live in here today. We will be going through all this. I warned them who listening to me a long time, no ILI. I warned them about they controlling the internet. This is how they just put it. They will control the internet. Right? They're controlling you, Lennox. Right? They will be controlling you all again on the ground report. Every control. They're coming at you, Lennox. I'm telling you, they're coming at you with fire. Good. And they're going to outdown the UNC. That sun is going to sink. It is going to set. There will be a burial. I warned them a long time that this country will end up a one-party state. But hell go roll inside of here. Because it's not only here looking for one-party state. Look at the news. What's going on next door is a crisis. The world seeing that, and I am hearing a word. They're talking about a terrible crisis that's going on next door with Rowley, young man's friend. They don't want me to talk about him, but it's hell go roll. It ain't no dragon gas again, you know. That will never happen. That is going to come to a halt for a long, long time to come. I don't know what he's going to tell the citizens, you know. But he have that mainstream media under control. He and that Brotherhood is not to know nothing what's going on. But I tell you, his problem, you know, is fire coming with that drug and gas thing now, you know. You hear? It's not just this country alone. It's a regional problem. Have a good night, Lennox. I will leave it there.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, as usual, for your what I consider to be sagacious and concern cautions. But the fact of the matter is that we live in a democracy. We live in the Western world. Trinidad and Tobago is definitely too small to try what Maduro is trying. And therefore, I am certain that with my own connections, I can tell you, I've said it before, so I can say it openly. I met with the FBI here. We were supposed to meet with the CIA. Of course, I'm a member of Amnesty International. I think Rowley and them know that from the court documents that I would have been presenting on different occasions, including, of course, when Stuart Young told us that we accuse him of being a racketeer, he and Rowley, on the ground report. And he sent a pre-action protocol letter to us. And of course, we sent back a 30 page or so a document detailing that he's in fact so. And that is over, 7 years now and counting. And he has not taken it to the next stage. So we know what we are talking about. I understand the dynamics up at work. But what I know is that the Americans will not allow Rowley to have his way, nor the Western world to have his way gravitating there. That is why he plays it safe and then pretends to be ignorant of the evil that he would have done. We have seen it, of course, displayed with Delcy Rodriguez. We saw it displayed with the tanker of fuel that was destined for Aruba and ended up in Venezuela. We know of that. We know about, of course, their complacency or their, what I would say, their humbling when the ambassador for the United States said that, yes, he raised the issue with Stuart Young. We saw when the OAS complained, and Mike Pompeo, the former, of course, the Secretary of State under Trump, told all of the OAS countries to fall in line because Venezuela is an outcast, is a pariah state. And why Rowley did not say no? He abstained. He went to the United Nations and then, of course, spoke in favor of the present Maduro administration. So it's not that the Americans do not know. But he plays it safe by not being blatant, contradictory, conspicuously. In other words, he plays smart with foolishness. Who tell you the Americans do not know that that shipment of fuel destined for Aruba and ended up in Venezuela was not a concoction of the Rowley administration and the facilitation by Paria? Who tell you they don't know? Who tell you they don't know? Who tell you they don't know that Rowley's daughter, who of course they're claiming owned the flats that she was rented from? Who tell you they don't know? I ain't gonna say any more yet. Who tell you they don't know that the Rowley administration and he and his Minister of Health have been the subject of an international criminal court application for geronticide? He probably don't know. Understand that. Why you think after they sent back, of course, some 82 refugees from Venezuela, they ended up in front of the United Nations Refugee Office in Trinidad. And Rowley still sent them back on a military airplane sent by Maduro back to Venezuela. Why you think Rowley opened up the country to all and sundry, including criminals, to register them? Why you think? It's because of the understanding that they understand that the Americans knew, and that therefore to plead their ignorance case, to plead that they are innocent, they then of course say, we love all Venezuelans, and open up. Remember before that, Rowley was saying that of course they must stay in their country. Before that, he didn't care less. The Coast Guards were sending back people. But as soon as that plane was sent back and the opposition in Venezuela expressed their deep disapprobation and their deep concern, then you see that as policy change, and suddenly Rowley exposed all of us in the process to amputation, criminal behavior, heinous, including the beheading of people. Yeah. That is what Rowley has done. So don't give Rowley more than what he really deserves. He's a shadow of whatever elements in the region, and a consummate fool. What he is for sure is a greedy thief. A greedy thief. And uses, of course, our sanctity of the office of Prime Minister and the sanctity of the office of Prime Minister to do his nefarious acts and then say that it is not illegal, even though it is immoral. Look at, of course, the amount of times that they recuse themselves as a cabinet. That don't happen at all in any democratic, self-respecting, civilized society, especially the Western world. And you think the Americans don't know that he's a blasted thief? Well, they can't find out is where he having his money, because friends and family and so on, it might have been distributed among. But when he gets out of office, he has to live somewhere, and he has to spend money. We'll find out. We'll find out, Rowley. We'll find out. People, we have come to the end. Don't forget tomorrow morning, the ground report, Andy, Mikey, and myself. Andy, look forward to Andy, and I'm sure many of you are waiting with bated breath for Andy's return. Well, I want to assure you that I expect him to be. He will be. And of course, early from 6 o'clock, he will be the man at the helm, so to speak, as he brings it to you in his unique style. All of these we would have spoken during his period of absence. And it will be, of course, a tremendous honor to once again be sharing the platform of the ground report with Andy Williams. Don't forget, of course, tonight, but I said tonight, I mean tomorrow night. I had so much test runs today that I'm confused with the time. But of course, tomorrow night, we will be back, Tuesday. Have a wonderful rest of the night. God bless. And see you. And see you then. And see you then. Yes, indeed. The time has come, people, for us to stand straight, stand tall, and resist in spite of the challenges. Have a duty and responsibility, because Rowley, it should be in the political cemetery a long time ago.
I have a political cemetery. It's not for people like you and me. It is for all them politicians. And I dig in their grave, no fuck with me hand. I find some of them, they living too long. And every 5 years it's the same old song. Some of them dead, just shame to lie down. So I prepare for them a burial ground. Rowley, my first grave for he. With joy in my heart, put him down with glee. All of them useless politicians, only making up numbers in my island. Al-Rari, I refuse body. I leave them Muslim, them to deal with he. Big smile on my face and with maybe a hand. It's time to move trash from out of this land. But I taking my time with he. I personally will prepare his body. Make sure he have a sardonic grin on his face. That's all he does do. That man is a waste. Bury in the back of my cemetery. Turn he upside down. He fails. I can see. Look for the strongest grave digger to cover he. Not with the hand, put good fork on he. Gypsy, political grasshopper, I may feel little pity cause he's my brother. But like Tarzan, he's swinging from vine to vine. It's time I help you to make up your mind. Fitzgerald, Rasta City, I know they go glad to get the body. Resi on be tam down for all to see. Drink 2 beers and watch Coco get happy. Want we sacrifice, yet every week she have new weave, man, she living nice. You and the cold pot man resemblance strong. A bum seated bread and you like a tongue. It's not for people like you and me. It is for all them politicians. And I dig in their grave, no fork with me hand. I find
from the Trinidad, location 7 miles off the coast of Venezuela. SOS, SOS, Mayday, Mayday, Mayday. Help! Help! Trinidad, a luxury liner, sailing the Caribbean Sea, with an old captain named Eric Williams. Oh yes, it's smooth and free, but sadly Eric Williams passed away. The ship hit rough water that day, someone turned the bridge over to a captain named Chambers. Me blood crawl, things start to fall. Hold me head when I sail a fall. Captain, this ship is sinking. Captain, the seas are rough. Oh yes, we gas tank almost empty, no electricity. We oil pressure reading low. Shall we abandon ship or shall we stay on it and perish slow? We don't know, we don't know. Captain, you tell me what to do. Whoa, whoa. The Trinidad, oh, she was a beauty with wealth that few surpassed. And in her day, she sailed majestically. There were few in her class. Faithfully, she fulfilled her sailor's need. Some were overpowered by greed, and so they pilfered slow. Some took by bulk and go. Now she looked dull, she's at a lull. She could barely sit on her hull. Captain, the ship is sinking. Captain, the seas are rough, oh yes. We gas tank almost empty, no electricity. We oil pressure reading low. Shall we abandon ship or shall we stay on it and perish slow? We don't know, we don't know. Captain, you tell me what to do. Whoa, whoa. The Trinidad, in her day of sailing, she was a friend to one and all. She never once ever hesitated to answer all SOS calls. And yes, well, she always did her best to help all those in distress. Now it's so sad to see she's in difficulties. Though she helped, yeah, some of them cheer and sarcastically declare, Captain, the ship is sinking. house empty, no electricity. We oil pressure reading low. Shall we abandon ship or shall we sit on it?